there's a group called ANTIFA. And Antifa seemed to be a group of young white boys and girls who have nothing better to do because, according to all the reports, they've been spoiled growing up. They come from rich parents, and they have never had to have hard times in life. And so they're on an idea trip. And they're joining forces and destroying the country and don't even know why. It just feels good to do it because they have nothing else to do. And they'll join forces. All of those spoiled brats have joined forces with one another to destroy America. I want to give you kind of recap of what's been going on in Atlanta, Georgia, in reference to there's something down there called Cop City, and they are building this Cop City for training purposes. They're making it look like the real deal so they can get real training. Well, Antifa don't like that. What the? And they don't like it because they're bored. They need some excitement. People commit crimes for excitement. People try to hurt other people for excitement. It's all ego. It's all evil. So this is a recap of what's been going on in Atlanta, Georgia. Some of you might be aware of it. Most of you might not. I don't know. This is from the Blaze. On Wednesday, January 18th, a trespasser fired multiple shots at officers, striking a Georgia state trooper. The gunman was Manuel Tehran, who used they, it pronoun. I never heard a human being call himself an it. But you know, why not? You can call yourself everything else but what you are. My word, call yourself an it. This is from Fox 5. Watch this.
A Georgia state trooper was shot and a protester killed during what the GBI director called a clearing operation at the controversial Cop City Atlanta Police Department training facility.
An individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper. Other law enforcement personnel returned fire in self-defense. The individual who fired upon law enforcement and shot the trooper was killed in the exchange of gunfire.
The disruptions go back as far as last May when a protest turned violent. Police say protesters threw rocks and Molotov cocktails at police. 8 people were charged in that incident. 2 months later in July, vandals destroyed surveillance cameras in the Border Walk neighborhood. A couple of weeks later, neighbors say someone opened fire on a technician who went out to repair some cameras.
Animals, all human beings who has anger is an animal. I do a lot of counseling and of different races, and the stories of how men and women are being bitten by their mothers and grandmothers is mind-blowing. Because the mother and the grandmother are animals as well. They have no love. Anyone that has anger is an animal. That's why a lot of folks will identify with animals now, because they have the same nature as an animal. I never heard of, you just never imagine in America that one day so many cops can be shot at and killed and all kinds of things. And nowadays, you have bad cops nowadays because so little is required to become a cop. And so they're hiring thug cops now. Because you don't have to really pass the test. You just need to be black and female, and or female. And that's it, no test required. Not a difficult one. Remember we showed you the test, the police test yesterday, some black girl there could barely run up and down the thing, so they had to lower the standards. And they have a woman in charge of the training. So these people are out there destroying somebody else's property. They need to be thrown in jail right away, not allowed to do that. Because by them being allowed to do it, it's just encouraging other animal, angry people to do it. There is no love in America today. No love. Everybody warring against one another and against themselves. Our battle is a spiritual battle. And they call it police brutality. What a mess, huh? And there's so few people speaking the truth about what's really going on. I just don't see a change coming anytime soon. Now, change can come right away for the individual, but as far as for the crowd, you can hang it up. So you have a choice to stay in the hell that you're in or to be free. The choice is to be free or not, because you're already in the hell. That choice was made for you when you were born through mama. But you can make the choice to come out of the hell within yourself. The kingdom of heaven is within. Red state, nowadays, speaking of where do you know where your children are at 9 o'clock at night? Again, parents don't even care. The mama's out trying to be a man, equal to a man. The fathers are so weak, they can't deal with the mothers of the children. And so it's just the children are on their own now. And whatever they make it, fine. If they don't, fine. A mess, huh? The Red State, this is from Red State. The group also precipitated a riot in Atlanta in response to Manuel Terran's death. So they're going to have a riot because some person calling themselves it or they, according to a report, decided to shoot at a cop. And they have a riot. And it just feels so good to have a riot because you're standing up for somebody. Never mind that somebody was wrong or you're right. You don't have a right to take a side. That's between Tehran and the police. But you take a side because you're lost and you need something or someone or something to identify with. So you take a side. It doesn't matter. You don't even need to know the right side. You just take a side. And you burn down the country. What a dark way to live. You can live in the light or stay in the dark. Really. You can have a clear mind by overcoming your anger and returning to the Father, or you can have a dark mind by staying with your daddy, the devil, the spirit of evil. It's up to you. It really is up to you. It's been taken care of. It's up to you to receive it or not. Amazing, right? And so they have a riot. I remember the good old days with Daryl Gates. Daryl Gates was the police chief here for a minute in L.A. You start that kind of mess, it was over real fast. And the enemies of good hated Daryl Gates, Chief Daryl Gates, because he did the job. He protected the city of Los Angeles. And they worked at it and worked at it and worked at it until they were able to get him out. And it has been downhill ever since for L.A., as well as Atlanta and any city that was one time in good condition. This is from the Red State. The radical left force defender. The radical left force defender group has struck again in Atlanta. Watch what they're doing now. This is from Today and Fox 5. Watch this.
This was a very violent attack.
Overnight in Atlanta, a chaotic clash between protesters and police, all on the site of a planned police training facility. Officials say protesters burned construction vehicles and a trailer and set off fireworks toward officers stationed nearby.
Throw commercial-grade fireworks, when you throw Molotov cocktails, large rocks, a number of items at officers, your only intent is to harm. This wasn't about a public safety training center. This was about anarchy, and this was about the attempt to destabilize.
Police point to a group of what they call outside agitators, saying they left an event nearby, changed into black clothing, and mounted a coordinated attack on construction equipment and police officers. Protesters say they're both concerned about the center's environmental impact and its symbolism as one of the nation's largest law enforcement training centers.
There is a music festival that's being held here today as part of a week of action against the proposed Cop City campus. Eerily similar to what we witnessed when a protest turned into a violent riot in downtown Atlanta. Businesses damaged and a police vehicle set on fire back on January 21st. And tonight, just a couple of hours ago, we did hear what sounded like gunfire.
Amazing. That's not a peaceful protest. That's not peaceful at all. And you should not be allowed to destroy other people's property like that. Just because you're on an ego trip. Those people care less about climate change and all that. They have no idea at all about that. It's just somebody else's idea, which is a false idea, by the way. But they took it on, and they have nothing else to do, and they're angry, so they need some excitement. They need some excitement. Some of you might remember Joe Biden, when Joe Biden said Antifa. This was like during the campaign with President Trump, I believe, the election that was happening there. But Joe Biden said that Antifa was just an idea. Oh, it's not real. It's an idea. You just saw the idea there, according to their report, destroying somebody else's property. What a sad way to live. Remember when Biden said that Antifa was an idea? This is I want to remind you of that. This is from C-SPAN. Watch this.
I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not malicious.
See that? Just lied to you. You're looking at Antifa destroying property and carrying on. Oh, it's just an idea. It's not real, not an organization. They're just lie, and they elected Joe Biden from one idea to another one. Ideas are not good, folks. Ideas are pure ego. And there's never anything good about ideas or an idea. What will it take for you to wake up? That's an evil, radical, nasty group of spoiled people with no life. And they get joy out of destroying other people's property. And who are these people? We need the cops to be training. We need tough cops now. According to the Blaze, some took to the streets chanting, "Stop Cop City. And if you build it, we will burn it." Isn't that amazing? Stop Cop City. If you build it, we will burn it. And you know why they can say that? Because they're not worried about going to jail. They're not worried about going to prison. The cops have been weakened, and the criminals have been encouraged. In the United States of America, a Christian country. Have you noticed how silent the Christians are, the preachers and the Christians are, all this mess going on in the country? They're not shining light on the darkness. They're quiet. I wonder why. Because they're scared. They're hiding behind their pulpit. I was just so scared. What a mess. And the younger people, some of the millennials, but especially these, you would never know America in its beauty the way it was. You got to always think this is normal, this is it. Because you don't have that example of what the country was, how great the country was. The good old days when boys were boys and men were men. I want my country back. evil people use evil people. And that's what this is all about, from your government on down to the person who buried folk, the cemetery. It's all about use. Take a look at yourself and be aware of yourself and be honest with yourself. You ain't got to tell the world if you don't want to.